Hey, MadLab Nation, how you guys doing? It's Greg Mack, Rainmaker 201 podcast. Hope you guys are having a great day today so far, and that your first couple of months of 2019 are going outstanding for you in all regards. Of course, this podcast is about the sales, interviewing, acquiring relationships professionally context. So hopefully that's going well, and that you're finding and interviewing and making critical decisions with your prospect about whether or not a lifelong relationship with you, managing their health, wellness, fitness programming, however you do that, is appropriate. And that's the whole idea behind the Rainmaker 201 material, is to give you some systems, strategies, and tactics for and competencies ultimately to do that, right? Because you're getting leads from where? You're getting leads from your website, people walking in, referrals. Maybe you're out and about in your community and you're meeting people at health fairs and Starbucks and in line at a parade, who knows where, right? So there's people all over the place for you to meet and talk to if you choose to do so. Well, here's something that professionals do. Professionals review their game film. Maybe I've talked about this before. I wanted to bring it up again. Rainmaker 201 course has a specific debriefing or review game fill worksheet. So after first contacts and after face-to-faces, you can have a piece of paper and a document that kind of walks you through the key elements of how that transaction can be structured, and give you a chance to review each line and see how you did, what you forgot, maybe what you messed up, maybe you got something out of order. It includes any memories you have about what the prospect or suspect said or did or didn't say or didn't do, so you can start to get a feel for at least what you're doing, which is the only thing you can control, right? And that's what professionals do. They look at game film soon as possible after the game. And so when you have, you got to sit down with yourself somewhere and write down what happened, debrief it, find somebody, a colleague, a boss, a mentor, maybe to help you quickly in 10, 15 minutes, break down what happened. You can hire me. I'm happy to meet with you periodically throughout the month and take your debriefs and talk about what you did and how it went, and maybe ask you some tough questions about some of your behaviors and strategies and tactics and what you're choosing to do and what you're choosing not to do because of maybe some emotional discomfort or internal issue you might have about trying some of these things. And so we can talk about that. Now, remember in these transactions that, it's not always your fault, and that's not really necessarily what we're trying to do, is beat you up about what you didn't or didn't do and make you feel guilty or shameful about your ability to competently have these transactions and conduct these interviews to get a clear decision at the end. Sometimes it's got nothing to do with you. The prospect or suspect's just a pain in the butt, and they just don't want to, do anything in a constructive, sensitive, win-win way. It's just all about them and what they want, and they could care less about you. And you're trying to find that out, right? Because isn't that when you want to find out that another human being really could care less about your needs and your wants and kind of why you have the values and preferences you have, and they just want to ignore those and walk all over them and get what they want? That's not the kind of relationship I want to be in, and you might find that out in these relationship interviews. And the decision really is, at least on your part, no, there's no reason to be in a relationship. Or don't beat yourself up if the suspect or prospect is simply not cooperating in a healthy relational way. And so keep that in mind as you do this. This concept or this idea, that you should be closing 100% of every human you ever talk to about what you do all the time is ridiculous. It's an impossible ideal. In fact, it's wrong because not everybody should be in a professional relationship with you, either technically or psycho-emotionally through the relationship dynamic. And so this idea that you feel guilty or ashamed because you're not closing 100% of everyone who contacts you, however they do that, let yourself off the hook here a little bit. You got to get good at quality, realizing sooner than later whether or not the person you're talking to is someone you should spend any more time with. And again, that's what the Rainmaker course is all about. And I would encourage you, if you're listening to this podcast and you've chosen up to this point to not do Rainmaker 201, I don't understand why. Help me understand it, because it's a couple of $100, 28 hours of high-powered information for you to help you get through this and protect your ego and protect your emotional state and become more effective and competent at interacting with the modern consumer. Because it's tough. It's competitive. They think they're the king or queen and they can walk all over you and get what they want and leave. They think they can waste your time, and they got no compunction about doing it because nobody tells them it's okay. It's not okay. Excuse me. And sometimes, it's just not a fit. And they're nice and friendly and sensitive too, and that's okay, right? We just got to kind of, work through this process in a systematic way to protect our most precious asset, which is our time. And so that's what we're all about. And so if you're a professional, you're going to review your game film. You're going to sit down with yourself at some point after a first contact or a debrief, or even maybe with your current customers, because often the interviewing process doesn't end there. You might need to revisit the reason for the relationship and redefine that periodically over the course of the relationship, because things change and goals change and needs change, and so you got to check in. And so do that. Review your game film.